and I will allow more people to come in. All right. So now we're recording. I'm recording to my desktop. I'm not recording to the cloud. That way I can save some space for our Zoom cloud. And again, today we're going to be talking about Brightspace quizzes and how to set them up inside of your Brightspace site. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see. I've gone ahead and created a test site. This is called University or Upper Division Poli-Sci course. And it's just a demo site I use to test different things and so forth. And I went to find that just in my waffle here. And I typed in this information and it popped up on my different sites. Just like if you want to look for your fall course, your 2021 30s, you just would go to the waffle and type in that term code and it'll appear there. Also, we have migrated all the sites from 2020-30, the ones that were published, and the 2020-40s are almost done, but it's going to take maybe another week for me to get those done. And again, just to search for those, you would go to the waffle at the top and type in term code, and you should see all your old courses there. So for today, though, we're going to learn how to create quizzes. So at the very top here on our nav bar, on each of our courses, we have our quizzes located. And this is a standard nav bar we're going to have located for all of the courses for the fall semester as we get started into Brightspace. In the spring, we're going to kind of open that up. So professors, if there's certain tools they don't use or certain ones they do want to add, they can do that at their leisure. We do ask that you don't delete the content because that's really where all your stuff's going to be kind of centered. And we're encouraging people to create their modules. That's a place where your syllabus is located and so forth. So, okay, so let's go ahead and jump to the quizzes area. So as we get here, you'll notice I've already created one quiz and it was pretty simple to create. The first thing you do is you just click on where it says new quiz. And it enables you to create quizzes in a variety of different ways. The first thing you really should do is create a name. Anywhere in Brightspace, when you see an asterisk, that means that a title is required or that field must be filled out. So let's call it quiz 2. And you can add a category. I went ahead and created 2 categories just for reference. There's one called exams, one called quizzes. But I haven't really found a use case for those. But it's really up to you if you want to put those in certain categories to organize them how you see fit. And basically right here is where you would add your questions. These settings we're going to go to a little bit later. First, I just want to show you how to create and add your questions. So we click add and edit. And once we get loaded, it's going to give us 2 options. One is to add and one is to import. Now import is if you want to upload a file. Let's say you have your questions already in a spreadsheet format. You have to do it in a very specific manner. Once we click on upload a file, it's going to give you that option here to upload your CVS file. And if you click here, it's going to show you what that looks like, and you have to set it up in a particular manner. If that's something you want to do, you can go ahead and try that and see if that's going to work for you. But it could be sometimes a little bit more complicated than going ahead and just creating the questions. So that option is available to you. Also, you can browse your question library. I'm going to show you what that is here in a little bit, but that's just basically an area on this particular site where you can have your questions already loaded. It's kind of like a question pool inside of Sakai, but it's specifically for this course, this particular site. And there are ways to actually move your question libraries from one site to another. So in that sense, it is similar to a pool, but we'll get to that point a little bit later. There's also something called the Learning Repository, and that's a place where people can post different information about questions and different files and so forth that everyone inside of a particular institution can look at. And we're just kind of exploring what the learning repositories can do. Like certain departments can have one, and they can share different files, they can share different questions. But that's something we're exploring and how those things are working. But in the future, that's something you can look at and see if there's anything you want to use for your quiz. But right now, we're just going to go to add. So add is the typical place where you would add your different questions. There is a question pool here. It does seem a little confusing. Also, like what's a question library versus a pool? But for right now, we're just going to go where it says new question. And here's where you can pick all the different options you have available. Your true, false, multiple choice. First, let's look at the true, false. And it's pretty straightforward. You're just choosing, again, you can also change it on the whim here. I'm going to change it back to something else. You must have your question here must have text. That's what the asterisk for. If you want to add different things like your hint, your feedback, this gives us those options here. Let's say here, is the sky blue? Actually, this was the other question I had on the other quiz. And the answer is true. Okay, if you notice on the right, it gives you a preview of what that question looks like. So it's a very handy feature so you can see what the students will be seeing when they take the quiz. And you must decide how many points this will be. So this one's pretty hard. We're going to make it 5. And we can go ahead and save. And if you hit save and new, it's going to ask for you to then go ahead and create a new question. All right, let's see here. Is Shepherd University in West Virginia? And the answer will be true. And you notice this little text box, or not text box, but this window appeared where you can adjust your text. You can add a picture for your question. This also indicates if you want to insert different things, like it's called insert stuff. If you want to add a video, you can add a different file there for your question. So it gives you a variety of different options. You can expand this if it's too small for you to build, if it gets too big. You can add mask text and so forth. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and leave this question like it is. And it is true. And we'll make it 5 points as well. And we just hit save. So now this quiz just has the 2 questions, but you could go ahead and keep adding your questions as you go. You could add different types of questions. Just take a look at the multiple choice. Okay, let's see here. What is the capital of Virginia? Okay, let's see here. Winchester, Richmond, Leesburg. Let's see here. I can't think. But Fairfax. Okay, so you do need to add the answer. Does anybody have any guesses here for us? No guesses? Well, I'm going to go with Richmond. Okay. And let's say you don't like this order. You can always drag these around. I'm going to put this one up here. And again, this will be what they look like, what they see here. This is what the students will see. You can randomize the order. So I guess that would be for other students. I guess the questions come through. You can also add more questions. Let's say you only want 3 of them. You can eliminate 1. And we can go ahead and make it 5 points. And hit save. Okay, let's add a different question. I did want to show you the fill in the blank. It's a little different inside of Brightspace than it is inside of Sakai. For fill in the blank, I don't have a good I'll have to think of something real fast here. I don't have a good question to come up with. But this one of the things I wanted to let y'all know about is with fill in the blank inside of Sakai, you would have a statement listed, and then you would specify a certain word, and that word needed to be exact. It couldn't be capitalized or lowercase or those types of things. Here, it does give you the option to evaluate it with case sensitive, regular expression. So it gives you a little bit more variety in case they don't have it quite exactly the way that you may want them. And you can change the weighting and so forth. The text boxes are kind of what will be before and after the particular fill in the blank you want them to give. So again, this would be very specific, but it does give you a little bit more options than it did inside of Sakai. So,
what does what regular expression mean?
Regular expression. Where was that located?
It was with
right here.
case
Okay.
insensitive and case sensitive. Yes.
To be honest, it's a good question. I don't know that offhand. I can actually research that and find out for you.
Okay, thank you. No big deal.
Yeah, the case and the case sensitivity, that makes sense. It's pretty obvious that that'd be a regular expression. That's a good question. I think it would give just a little bit more leeway as to what the words are, but I will look that up and see if I can find out more specific information about that. Let me write that down. And that's for fill in the blank. All right, and you need to notice at the bottom here, they give some options about a particular hint you want to give, or some extra feedback per question. Those options were also inside of Sakai, but this is where you would find those inside of Brightspace. And I'm just going to go ahead and cancel. I'm not going to add that one to our list. Let's see, what else do we have? A written response. A short answer. That would be, it's pretty straight explanatory. These are ones that you're going to have to go back and grade manually. The ones like multiple choice, true, false, and short answer to a point, or not short answer, but the fill in the blank, they should be able to be graded automatically by the system. But short answer, essays, those type, they have to be done manually. So just keep that in mind. There's a matching. So I just want you to take a look and see what that looks like. Again, you'll need a title and your points and so forth. You have your text here. You can insert images inside your questions. I know some professors use pictures inside of their questions and a lot inside of Sakai. Unfortunately, a lot of those type of connections didn't always transfer well when we did our migration. But this is where you would want to maybe add those back again. These are the different matches here. To us, I'm not trying these out myself, but it does give you those different options. And it should preview it here on the side. So if that's something you want to try out, I would go ahead and suggest that. Go ahead. And we'll go back to our quiz. All right, so let's say you can go ahead and try a lot of these other types of questions. There's even more math questions, those types of things. But we're going to go back and look at the settings of this particular quiz. So we have our 3 questions, and we have our name. But let's say you already have your maybe 20 questions or 50 questions. You can decide how many questions you want to have per page. I know in Sakai they would set it, sometimes you can have 1 per page or all of them. And this way you can decide how many you want. Let's say you have 50 questions and you want them to have, 5 per page. It's really up to you how you want to apply that. Also, if you want them to be able to go back to answer a question or to research those types of things, for instance, going backwards through the pages. I know in certain exams I've had in the past, some of the answers to a previous question might be in some questions down the road. So if you want to prevent that from happening, that's one way to do it there. If you want to shuffle the questions at the question level, this is here as well. It gives you the option to edit the values from this location. But also down here, you can add more description for the quiz itself. This is more, I guess, more descriptive as to how you want to arrange your page and so forth. It just gives you lots of different options. This one, I think I already had open, but this is advanced features where you can allow hints. Let's say you want to give hints per question, those types of things. And if you want to disable right click, because right click enables the students to be able to copy and paste things. If you want to have them to disable during their quiz, if they can go to their email and instant messaging, that type of thing. However, just be aware that they can always go to their phone if you're worried about those types of things. And also, if you want to get an email once they have submitted their quiz, this is where you would put your email. Okay, so we have those options. I'll go ahead and save just to make sure. And now let's go through some of the other options that are listed for each of these quizzes. These are the properties. That's kind of the main function of the quiz. Now let's look under restrictions. So restrictions have to do with the dates, when things are due and so forth. If you want to have it open at a certain date, have it due, when it's available. I have to uncheck hide from users. That way I can add it to the calendar. If you want it to be due at a certain date, but they can still turn it in, perhaps only get a few points off, you can have the end date maybe later than the due date. It's kind of up to you how you want to set that. And there's also something called release conditions. Release conditions are set up so let's say it's maybe a fully online course and it's asynchronous, where they're kind of doing things on their own, but you want to make sure that they access a certain type of content on the particular site. You want them to read that first before the quiz is available. Then you can set these release conditions. If you have one available, or you can just hit create and attach. You can have a checklist that's set up. These are a lot of different things you can have. And it's a little more advanced features, but it's something you can explore if that's something maybe down the road, once you kind of set everything up and you want your site to maybe flow a certain way. These are good ways to do those types of things. Here's where you'll set your time limit. Right now it's set recommended time limit for 2 hours. So what that means is, after 2 hours, there'll be a clock saying, hey, you're late, those types of things. Or you can set so it's enforced. What that means is it'll shut off after the 2 hours, the 120 minutes. And you can give them a 5-minute grace period. And this allows them, to prevent them from making changes. Lots of different options are listed here. This particular feature, the recommended time, we didn't really have that inside of Sakai. It was kind of either it was timed or not. So that's kind of a neat feature to have. And also for special access, if you have a student who maybe needs some more time, you click here and you can add special time at this location. Maybe they get to take it at a different time, those types of things. You would have to search for the users. This is the only student in the course right now, but you can change when they can take it, those types of things. And this would only apply to these particular students that you add. You would just check their name and hit add special access. And you can change the attempts, all those types of things.
Hey, Rich.
Yes.
It's Chris.
How you doing?
So am I correct in thinking this takes the place of groups in Sakai? So I used to have 2 separate quizzes with access by different groups, and now I can just have one quiz and give different kinds of access to specific students here. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Boy, that sounds easy.
Yeah, it's a much better system. Love this. It's great.
Thanks.
You can actually go to each student in your class list, and if they have certain accommodations, you can edit them there as well. So this is another way to do it specifically by an individual quiz. Yeah, there's no more duplicating your quizzes to check one, and I've seen some people have twice as many quizzes because they had to make accommodations. So this is a much better feature, definitely.
I have another, can I ask a question?
Definitely.
So they've already started the quiz and they need to redo it again?
Mhm.
So they only have, let's say they have 2 attempts, you give them 2 attempts, something like that. And
Mhm.
they've had their 2 attempts, but something happened, the system went down. Would you put the one student in there, say, I need 1 more attempt, you would use this special access system?
I think so. Yes. I think that'd be a good place to put them there.
And you'd have to look at it and see how that would work.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time we've been using this. So, but I believe that's where you would have the access. You would just hit special access, and it does allow them to, have multiple attempts, those types of things. And we're going to get a little further in the settings here to show you more about that. But
Okay,
no changes. You can change the times, override attempts allowed. So this is where you would have them to do multiple attempts. Maybe you didn't want to change the date. Maybe the dates are still active. Maybe, like you said, you had it so they, the date's at the end of the week, but they've already done their 1 attempt. This is where you could go in and have them have another attempt, or maybe a couple more, or unlimited. Yeah, so this is where you would change that for that particular student. Again, you have to then select the student and then add for special access. So, yep. All right, so let's go back and see more of our settings here. We've kind of gone through the restrictions. Now let's go to assessment. Now this is where it's automatically going to go to the grade book. So, or to the grades area. Allow attempt to be set as graded immediately upon completion. So this is where you have the multiple choice, those types of things. You can set it's automatically, it's going to put in a grade, that type of thing. And this is where you would put it so it would go to the grade book. Like if there's no item currently, that's one thing it doesn't do, is it doesn't automatically create a gradebook item. So you would just go and hit gradebook item here, and you could have the name of the quiz. This was quiz 2. You could add a short name if you want, but again, you have to have where the asterisk is. And you can add a category. I've already created categories in my grades area, so I'm just going to put it under quizzes and hit save. Allow automatic export to grades. I'm not positive what this feature is. Let's see here. When allow automatic export to grades is enabled, the system can send auto graded attempts to the gradebook. Okay. Yeah, so I think if you want them to go to the gradebook, this is what you would click, and you can test these out as you go. And this is for everyone listed here, but this is the number of attempts that you want. If you want them just to have the 1, the unlimited. Some professors use quizzes more as an education tool. The more often they take them and the better they get, it shows their progress. So you can have it set as unlimited. You can have it so it only calculates the highest attempt on average, those types of things. So it does have some other areas here. One's called objectives. That's not something we've really researched a lot about, but you can create objectives for your class and see if they have reached those certain objectives. If that's something you want to do, you can explore that. And we're going to learn more about that down the road as we continue to learn more and more about Brightspace. And the last list here is called submission views. That's kind of where you're going to give some of your feedback for the class. Right now, all it does is it gives the feedback of the score. I did do a test. So from the student perspective, I just got a score when I took a test. But if you want to add certain views, this is the default one, but you can just hit add an additional view. And it lets you, again, you can put a name for your view here. Certain things like limit the time that the quiz is available to view afterwards. If you want to show the questions, you can show the ones that were answered correctly, incorrectly. It's kind of up to you how you want to have it set. Show attempt score and overall score, those types of things. This is kind of where you would do your feedback. I don't see an area where you could type in actual responses like, good job, or those types of things. It's interesting. Well, I guess you could put it here under the, now, this is more of your, oh, this is the message you would give out. Sure. But I would just encourage y'all to explore these to see how it work best for you. Those types of things. And I'm just going to cancel.
What was show outcomes?
Okay,
Their results.
let's go back in here. We'll take a look. Let's see here. Oh, at the bottom here. Let's click on that. Let's see if it tells us more information. It doesn't show much information there about that one. To be honest, I'm not sure, to be fair. Maybe that's something I can research and find out for you. Show outcomes. Okay. That's a good question. I would say maybe check on it and have a student test the quiz out, those types of things. It might be good maybe to do a test quiz even for your class to kind of show the students what this will look like, those types of things, maybe something very simple. Because we're all, the students especially, they're all kind of starting out new for all these things inside of Brightspace. And your stats, you can have it, so it's going to show the score distribution, the class average, those types of things. Okay, so we're done looking at this quiz. I'm just going to hit save and close. Right now you can see how the two quizzes, and there's this little ribbon next to them. That indicates that it is, it's a gradebook item. So it will show up inside your grades area. Also, if you want to perhaps just work on your quizzes and maybe not have them published, that type of thing, you can click on it and hit hide from user. And once it refreshes, you'll see that there's a little eye there that's kind of has a line through it. That indicates that the students can't see the quiz, even though the date may be open, that type of thing. It's hidden. So that's something you want to make sure. If you're having issues with your students not seeing your quiz, make sure that you go through your list here. And if you see this little eye, just kind of go here and click make visible. And if you notice, when I clicked here, it gave you a lot of different options. You can go ahead and grade it from this area. You can also set up reports, view the reports. The reports reflect how the students did in certain questions and that type of thing. It can give a lot more specific information than it did in Sakai. So that's something we're really excited about, looking into the reports options that Brightspace can give. The temp logs, it's very handy. And it does have an option here to publish to the LRO, which is the learning repository. We're going to be learning more about that as we get on inside of Brightspace. And here you can also edit the questions, delete it if you don't need it anymore, or hit copy if you do need to make a copy of your quiz. Okay, so, okay. Also under more actions, if you check one of the quizzes, under more actions, you can do these different things as well. You can do more than once. Let's say you clicked all of them here. Then you can make all of them visible or hide all of them at once. It's kind of up to you. And there is an option here called bulk edit. That's going to give you the ability to edit a lot of different things at once. Let's say you need to add all of them to certain categories, like quiz 2. We need to put that in our quizzes category. How many attempts, we need to change that. But let's say you had 10 quizzes. This would be a very handy place to go to make your edits and so forth. And we'll hit save. And our views can change over here if you want to change by availability or by category. Just hit apply. I just have 2 categories listed, so it's not really going to show me much here. Okay, so the magic word we talked about earlier was called the question library. So if I click on question library, I had a question pool in Sakai, and what I did is I moved it over here. I moved it from my demo site, my sandbox, And if y'all need to move your question pools, I can help you with that. But once you get it inside of your site, it's basically a question of importing them from site to site. And we talked about that in another video, but we can talk about that today. If people have questions about that, I can share it real fast. But basically, these are different quizzes and questions I had just for testing purposes. You can click on it here. This is kind of United States questions I had. You can publish them to LRR. You can take a look at them and edit them. And again, if you want to make a quiz from those, you can go ahead and do that. It gives you a preview. And it's just a place where your quizzes are stored. Your quiz questions specifically. So,
Hey, Rich.
yes.
So one of those menus for the quizzes, there was an option for copy.
Yes.
Is there somewhere also a corresponding paste?
Well, it would be
So what does copy do? Does it make a duplicate, or does it copy it and then you paste it somewhere else?
I believe it makes a duplicate. That's what it was referring to. Let me go
Okay,
back
so-
here and we'll take a look here.
So that's what I was wondering with all. So if I don't want to set up all those settings every time, I could just make one and then duplicate it, and change the questions each time.
Yeah, let's say we go to quiz 2 and we hit copy. You see, it just names a copy of quiz 2. It has all the settings. It has all the questions, but you can go ahead and delete those if you want to add new questions. But yeah, your settings would be whatever you had set up in these locations.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. And also there's the statistics area. And this is like we were talking about before with the reports. You can go in and find different things. I had my test student go in and go ahead and take this quiz. He did pretty well. It's one question, it's true false. So shows your averages. It does give the option to export it as a CVS and also as Excel. There's more question stats. When you have lots of questions and lots of users in your sites, this will become a lot more, you'll see the advantage of being able to go to these reports and check out the different stats. And specifically, it's there so you can see maybe if there are certain questions that maybe were too hard for your students, or maybe a certain student needs a little help in certain areas. These type of areas, these type of stats can help you identify those types of things. So, but right now, I just kind of want to open up for questions if y'all had any. I'm just kind of going to jump back here at the beginning of our quizzes area.
So if I want to move a quiz from one of my classes that's been imported from Sakai from last year into my Brightspace, do I just need to move the questions into a question library and then create a new quiz from that library, or can I copy it directly from one site to the next?
So would you want to move the whole quiz or just certain questions?
The whole quiz.
Okay. Yeah, you could just move the quiz itself. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit about that. So let's say if we go to our course tools, you always want to go to the new course that you want to move data into. So under course tools, you go to import. And then you want to choose this option that comes up first. Basically, it's moving data from one org unit to another. An org unit inside of Brightspace is just another site, another class that you've taught in the past or in the current course. You just want to move things around. So basically, this is the one that's already set up by default, and you click search for offering. So I'm going to choose a demo site, see what pops up. Okay, I have this one here. I also have my sandbox, which I do have lots of quizzes in there, but I'm going to choose this one. It's a World War II demo site I had created. Then you hit add selected. And as you can see now, it's chosen the one I'm going to take data from. Now at the very bottom, there's two options. You can just copy everything over, which is sometimes good. As a pack rat myself, I just move everything over and delete what I don't want, that type of things. But in this case, if you're specifically, you just want to find one thing, you would hit select components. And what this will do, this will let you look at a very granular format of all your tests and quizzes here. You can scroll through if you just want just the content, display settings, course files. This is one way to move your question in library, which I don't have it in this site, but that's one way you could do it. So if you hit quizzes, let's see here, select individual items to copy. Let's click there. Now, when we hit continue, let's see if it lets us pick the different quizzes. I usually just move all the quizzes, but in this case, let's see here, question, expand all. Let's take a look here. Yep. Okay. So in this particular test, I had quizzes for week 1 through 10. So it's letting me pick the particular quiz I want to move. And then once I'm done, I just would hit continue. And now it's giving you the option if you need to change the dates. What it'll do is it'll kind of move them up about by 6 months. It's not going to be specific, but it's kind of a neat feature you can use. I personally would just go back and change the dates, but I think it's a neat feature to offer. So hit finish. Now it's going to be moving those particular quizzes. If you look on the far right, the copying is in progress. And we just give it some time. Depending on how much data you're moving is going to show you how much time this will take. So it just finished. It maybe took 10 seconds, that type of thing. And then you can click view content to see when moved over.
So offset dates means that it could, if you give it the right value, it can update the due dates and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's a neat feature. You just kind of have to be specific. And I would still, it's not that I wouldn't trust it. It's that I still would want to go back and verify my dates. I wouldn't want to completely rely on it. So
Got it.
I'm good. So if you go back to our quizzes, let's see what moved over. Oh, great. Okay. So these are ones from my other site, week 2 and week 5. This one, I guess, was an old one. So that's how you move them. If you notice that once I move them, I'm not sure if they were hidden in the other site, but they are hidden here. So I could go individually and unhide them, or I could go to my bulk edit. And it says hide from users. I'm just going to uncheck those and hit save. Now they're all available to the students. That's a great feature that enables you to, do multiple editing for certain features all at once versus having to go one at a time, So do we have any more questions?
What did you click on to move that? What was that one on top that you clicked to move that?
To move the one quiz from the other exam?
Yeah,
Well, I go to course tools.
course tools. Okay,
Yep.
that's what I wanted to know.
And then it shows you where the course admin is.
Okay.
Course admin is very similar to the site editor inside of Sakai. There's lots of different options here. There's some we haven't truly explored, to be honest. We focused on the main ones that most professors will be using. In this case, you want to go to the import area, and that's where you can import from site. That's the phrase we use in Sakai, so that's kind of the same concept. Again, there's lots of different options here since we're here. There's things like attendance. It is not something that's attached to the grade book, but it's something you can use to track yourself. A seating chart. Again, Brightspace, though, is also designed to be used in other systems. They use it in business for doing education, but also they use it for K through 12. So sometimes the seating chart might be more applicable to that type of environment, but you never know, You can create your rubrics here. There is also the iRubric LTI that's also added inside of Brightspace. We have that as well. Some administrative stuff, which I have explored a lot. You probably don't want to mess with too much. It does say publish, but this does refer to the learning repository. Something I'm getting a lot of questions about is about when are these courses available? I noticed there's no publish button. How do I get this so the students can see it? Well, that's kind of set up by default by Brightspace to be set up so it's active at the beginning of the semester and at the last date of the semester. So the course offering information is listed here. If you want to change that, right now it's going to list the name of the particular course. As instructors, you currently can't change your name, but this is just an admin side. but you should be able to go down here where it says the dates. Your courses should have a date listed, like it should be August 23rd for the active date, and it should be checked like this. But basically you can just uncheck it and then it'll be available to the student currently. And it won't end as well. If you wanted to have it open at an earlier date or an end at a certain date, this is where you would change that. And once you're done, I'm just going to uncheck those. Once you're done, remember to hit save here at the bottom. And we'll just go ahead and reset our course home here. So. Don't forget, there's always the announcements is typically set up here at the beginning of each of the sites. It's a good idea to start sending your announcements to your students. That way they kind of know what's going on. It is a transition time, so students maybe who've been at Shepherd a while, they're used to using Sakai. So it's a good idea to kind of send them an email, let them know that they'll be using Brightspace. Most of our courses should be in Brightspace for the fall.
Hey, Rich.
Yes, this is where you would send it. This is where you could send an email to your class. That's why I want to list it here. You just check the box, hit email.
I was just wondering if that worked if the site wasn't visible.
The email itself?
Yeah.
I think so. That's something, to be honest, I would test, but I believe it should.
Okay, thank you.
Now notice, you don't need to put the 2 here for the students. What it does is it puts them in this area called blind carbon copy. And that's an old term. Basically it means that whoever gets this email won't know who else is getting it. So it automatically have the whole list of students listed here. I just have one student. That's why I just have the one name listed here. Let's see here. So any other questions? Oh, there's one more thing I did want to show you. We're talking about whether they're active or not, the classes. If you go to the very beginning of your area in Brightspace, this is your home page where everyone kind of looks and has a very unified area. The students don't have the same tabs that I have listed here. You might have a few different ones as well. But if you scroll down, everyone should have this My Courses area. Mine's kind of large because I'm an admin. I can see most things, but you all are probably going to just see your current courses, or maybe some listed here from the summer or the past fall, that type of thing. Now the students, though, they're going to see their courses here. If their course is kind of grayed out, instead of having this nice picture of the sunset, if it's a black and white picture, what that means is, yes, they are in the course, but the course is not active to them yet. That's one way they can know whether they're actually in the course or not. Sometimes in the beginning of a semester, before the semester officially starts, students will contact our desk to say, hey, I don't see my course. Am I in that, or what's going on? You know, and this is one place they can go to see that they're actually in the course. It's just not active yet. And we also did add this link here at the top. This has to do mainly with students. If you click on it, it takes us to the Shepherd bookstore. They put in their ID and they can see what books that they need for their classes. So it's a very handy way for them to find their books and so forth. Just to let you know that's there. And again, we also have our tutorials listed here on the main page. Brightspace for Learners, you can direct your students there. They're very handy 1 to 2 minute videos, how to do this, how to do that inside of Brightspace, and for instructors as well. Also, we have our CTL YouTube page, which Kate's been posting a lot of great videos. Our CTL page as well has specifically a lot of information for users and for students as well. That's where we're directing our students to learn more about Brightspace and just how to navigate it as you go. So. Okay, let me check the chat here one quick time. Looks like we're good to go. Any last questions? Oh, here we go. Here a question. How can we create a test with 2 parts, for example, multiple choice question and short answers? I remember when I was creating the questions, I did not see an option where it gave to create different sections. It did say you could create different questions, kind of mix them up, that type of thing. But let's go back here and check. Go to our quizzes. And let's see, let's go to quiz 2. That's one we were looking on before. And let's click edit. All right, let's see here. We have our questions. There's restrictions, assessments. Let's go ahead and add another question. Let's see if it gives us any options about creating different sections. Okay. So if we add a question, oh, it does say section here. You can add a different section. Okay, let's try that. Let's see what that says. This section is for true, false. And we hit save. Okay. Oh, I misspelled that. So spelling is, I shouldn't take the spelling test apparently that we have here. So we can click this and we can edit that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, looks like we can create sections. Click this here, save and new. Maybe this is specifically, you want to break it apart. Maybe it's more just for descriptive purposes, it looks like. Short answer. Looks like you could shuffle questions. Yeah, so this is a good place if you want to go in and kind of explore how you want to move things around. You can move this way. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's more of a header place if you want to have, so this is your short answer location. If you want to have your true false down here. I'll just put it there. That's not gonna let me do it. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so that's a great way to kind of organize your site if you want to have different sections. They're not located like in a folder type area, but they're more of a, you can put different headers and sort your questions in that fashion. Does that kind of answer your question, sir? Great. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions, that's about it for today. So Kate will be having another workshop tomorrow if you want to join her at 2 o'clock. And I want to thank everyone for coming. Semester's coming up. So again, if you have any questions, you can always email itworkorder@shepherd.edu. You can email me and Kate. And it's going to be kind of busy, but that's okay. We'll address things as we can. And I think it's going to be a very exciting semester. We'll see y'all next time.
Thanks, Rich.
No problem.